remains a 40-pound vest. I can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements and training. This is remains a 40-pound vest. I can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements and training.
What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Anthony Joshua. You know, the lingering question about Joshua and his weight gain compared to his performance and what he's capable of doing with weight and without weight. Let me break it down. One of my concerns for Joshua was coming in too heavy, was getting back to that complacency of being too heavy where you can't, if you do get hurt or you do get tired, you're too heavy that you can't recover from that. Okay, you can't get a second win because you're carrying too much weight than your frame can handle. That was one of my primary concerns. Okay, because if you go back to 2019, he took his first L against Andy Ruiz. He was 247 pounds. 247 pounds of rock solid hard muscle. But that rock solid hard muscle really didn't do him any good. It seemed like it was a deterrent for him, you know, through that fight. So 6 months later, he comes in 10 pounds lighter at 237. Okay. And he gives Andy Ruiz a boxing clinic. And by the end of the 12th round, he looked like he could still go 2 or 3 more. Okay, he looked in massive shape. He looked like a Klitschko with an afro, right? And he was definitely fit. He was conditioned. He was trained. No, there's a lot of factors that people haven't really put into play, but I think weight can be a problem for Joshua. Okay, I think. And he's learned that because he came in 4 pounds. 4 pounds at he came in at 7 pounds lighter than he was in June. Okay, and only 3 pounds heavier than he was in December of last year. So he still looks good. Could he move? Could he punch? He was in the 9th round. He went 9 rounds with this guy and he got him out of there. And then that's actually, and understand this, there was a spike with Joshua with him throwing more punches. Why? Because Joshua had him hurt. Okay, and obviously, you know, that fight could have been stopped in 3, but I'm glad it didn't because it answered a lot of questions for Joshua. Because a lot of people thought that Joshua was a guy that can punch himself out. He did that shit against Klitschko, so it can happen. Okay, that can happen with Joshua. So I think the question is, does this weight bother him? Can he deal with being heavier? And to answer that question, I think he can, if he stays in this range, he'll be fine based on what we've seen with Pulev. But then again, Pulev is Pulev. You know, fighting someone like Tyson Fury, what would you recommend? Him being heavier or him being bigger? Because if he was bigger, he might feel more confident that he can land harder shots, as opposed to that 237-pound Joshua that caught Andy Ruiz with good shots, but then they didn't really have the impact. But of course, Andy Ruiz was almost 300 pounds himself. So he gains a lot more weight, you know, himself. And he was, I think it was like 268 when he beat Joshua the first time. So, well, the only time. So I think that as of right now, I'm not going to criticize Anthony Joshua's weight as much because coming in at 240, he was still able to move. He was still able to box. He was still able to throw bombs, okay, because he was fighting a guy with a good chin. Pulev was no sucker, okay? He's no fruitcake. He's no guy that goes in there and gets hit and lays down, okay? That he took many punches from Anthony Joshua that night. So he proved he had the chin. So that means that Joshua can also punch Because I was thinking like, well, Klitschko got this guy out of here a lot earlier. So who really hits harder, Klitschko or Joshua? But then again, that was a young Klitschko too. Okay? But Joshua got the job done himself, so his power is still warranted at his weight. So he doesn't need to be 247 pounds, 250, 253 to create power with his punches. And I think the more and more he starts to adapt to this weight, he'll be better and effective. Now, here's something that I want you guys to understand and what we still don't know. The number one question mark behind Anthony Joshua could be the defining factor, and then weight might not even play into it at all. And you know what that is? That was what the hell was wrong with him that night he fought Andy Ruiz. There was a lot of conspiracy theories going around. You guys heard them. I covered them all. He was spooked. He had a panic attack. He had a concussion. He was knocked out in sparring. He was sparring 8 days before sparring. Who does that? You seen him, cuts, bruises. He looked banged up. He looked jacked up. So something was going on with Anthony Joshua, if we knew it or not. And then to top it all off, after he beat Andy Ruiz 12 rounds, gave him a boxing clinic, showed him that he can box and can do all that good stuff, you know what Anthony Joshua said? I had a procedure, but he wouldn't tell what it was. He said, I'll write a book one day. The Sly Dog. Because it's one of those things, I guess, hey, why give away what you can sell? That could be an addition to One Night. That One Night documentary that Mike Tyson and Stallone and all those guys were on there, and a lot of fighters were on. A lot of people were on there, right? Michael Strahan and all these guys, they gave their input about that fight. Well, we still don't know what was going on with AJ. We don't know what it is. Only he said, well, I had a small procedure done and that fixed a lot of things. So we don't know what that thing was. So that's the main thing that, people are overlooking. What the hell was actually wrong with him? However, that has nothing to do with him punching himself out and getting tired. Because he did that shit with Klitschko, and that was a warning right there. So we can't overlook that. We know it is a factor, but the question is how much a factor. So you guys tell me what you think about Anthony Joshua's weight. Should he stay the same? Should he be bigger? You guys tell me in the comments. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.